Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop at LoneStarMopars.com. Just had an awesome time. We took a look at KC Tool Haul number 11. As I mentioned, Friday night, got off work, storm's coming, lots to do, lots of stuff I need handy to get opened up and in use here. So that's what we're going to jump into. KC Tool Haul number 12. This is going to be an exciting one for many of you, particularly if you're following along with my seemingly never-ending quest to try out and acquire every screwdriver known to man. It's kind of branching out, but there's good news. We'll hit that in a second. Number one, KC Tools. Spend $50, get free freight. Spend $100, which is not hard to do. You acquire another sticker pack. You can also buy that separately if you would like. But as I told you last time, we have gone full bore here. We have stepped up. We've changed the way we're doing things. On the forum, which I've got linked down below, I've got a thread dedicated to these beauties right here. In this particular case, this is their bit of thanks. You get it with every single order that you make. They have teamed up now. The VHA used to be Philo number 2s. Now you get an assortment of VHA stuff, which is pretty cool. And this one is 13 of 24, which I think I had. This is a T20 by 25 millimeter Torx bit, and it is titanium coated. So it's always cool to see y'all chime in and let me know what you've got, what you're missing, what you thought was the neatest one. And like I said, if you chime in on something I don't have, I'll get it added. Maybe not instantly, but as my time allows, which is like 2 hours every week type of thing, to the forum, and we will have kind of a checklist for you. So like I said, kind of a neat little novelty for regular consumers to have a chance to kind of come in and pick up everything they can. Now, why did I buy from KC Tool? And this was shortly after we got our order in for the tool of the day, the Fit Shear number 15, and it was for these little guys right here from Wera. And I gotta say, I actually did use these as well, at least one size, and so far so good. That's why I try to get this stuff done so I can use it, you know, and not just have it come out and look bad, make a poor first impression because I've like gotten it dirty or the tip is worn type of a thing. So what is this, you ask? Don't you have enough hex keys? Haven't you brought in the metric and the SE? What do you need? Well, if you've got good eyes or you've been paying attention, this is actually part number WR024179 multicolor Torx L-key clip set. This was the tool of the day, $29.99. I felt like that was worth making a purchase on. And it's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be, but then when you got it out of the box and I actually used it, I was okay with it. So there it is. Wera, again, very simple, very clean, elegant packaging. Now, what's cool about Torx? There's no SAE in metric, right? You got T25, I've got T25. So where we start with this one, we're down at size 8, then we have a 9, a 10, 15, 20, 25, 27, 30, and 40. Now, me personally, I kind of would like a 50. I'm not sure if they have a standalone. I'll have to check on that. You're thinking, hey, why would you ever need that? And that pretty big it is. And what I have use for it for is seatbelt bolts. I'm talking the factory, you know, like, don't take this out. We don't want you to die, which sometimes you have to do when you do stereo work. And that's, I'm not sure if Chrysler's still using it, FCA, on the LX vehicles, but that's what they were doing back in, you know, 2005 to 2010 and 11 and 12 at least, so good chance it's still T50. But check these little guys out. Isn't that just adorable? That's not good enough. They want you to be a tool rebel. You get the sticker that kind of looks like a rub-on tattoo type of a thing. But again, Wera, they're sort of the crazy innovators of the bunch. They kind of take some risks sometimes. And I've got to tell you, I raved about this with the hex keys. That's why I brought theirs in. If you are like me at home, work is probably worse for most of us. There's a drawer or two and a couple of toolboxes strung out through the shop, and it's got hex keys, and maybe they've been kept neat and they're actually still divided SAE and metric, and they're even in their pouches. But you know, when you're a kid and you get like that first big tool set and it's like 480 pieces and like 90 of them were hex keys, you know, good luck telling them apart. Go ahead and just grab it, reach in there and try to find your 3/16. I wish you well, because it's not going to happen. With Wera, the way they do these color codes, and of course just having them in this type of a sorter, which I've showcased before, is nice, but again, particularly in like a commercial location, somebody's going to screw that up and not put it back and take it to a different location, and everything goes to snot and handbasket. Well, it's hard to screw this up. If we did get them out of the holster, which by the way, as you can see, actually has the sizes. It was T20 I had to use. What did I get? I didn't think my hand was that dirty when we started. But same design, you just flip it up, open her up. This yellow right here I will use all the time. It's a T25. But again, no overlapping colors. If you're like, wait, there's yellow twice, idiot. That's kind of like a really, really bright, that's like a top banana. And then right there is sort of more of just a traditional caution yellow. So no overlapping colors across the set. This isn't stainless or anything crazy. It's just standard Torx. But this is the one you can actually, I don't know if you saw it, but I could see it. I think you can kind of see like where there's the shininess on the tip. That's where I'd actually use this one. Use that to break it free, then use this side to spin it on a couple of fasteners. But like I said, if it was going to break, if it was bad quality, it would have done it on the first couple of uses, and it's still swinging for me. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because this is a KC tool haul. Not let's spend 10 minutes talking about how cool this stuff is. Although I easily could. Bottom line, if you've got a lot of Torx stuff, if you use Torx keys rather than sockets or something along those lines, do yourself a favor, monitor the prices on these, wait till they're on sale, and bring them in. And tell me if you do not become a believer. I know it kind of seems dorky and gimmicky, and it, one, is helpful for visibility, but two, that's printed on there, and by the time the writing wears off, you can justify buying a set with all the time that you've saved not having to dig around and try to find them. Now with Torx, it's not as big a deal as with hex stuff, but it's still super nice to have them in that setup, so I'm quite content with that. Now, I guess what we want to get into is right here. This is one of those things. It's sort of like those offset side cutters I got from VHA for $12.98. I always check the sale, and I sometimes find stuff I'm like, you know what? We need to bring that in. And that's exactly what I did. I've got you Knipex fanboys and fangirls covered here. Nondescript plastic bag. Check this out though. It's the sort of their plain Jane stuff, just a plastic dipped handled like you'd have with channel lock stuff. Nothing super fancy, as you can tell. And what this is going to be 0201 180. You can cut up to 2mm piano wire. And that's because these are just some good old combination pliers. Now compare that to the fit ones we had, and these are really easy to use and articulate. But what I got these for, $21.34, and it's just kind of something I can come in and use these and compare and contrast. Right now, what I'm using, like when I run to my sister's house, has been the NWS's, and I've still yet to have any issues with them. And I think I might kind of incorporate these in there on some odd jobs here and there, see how they hold up. Nothing crazy. We've got the flat gripping surface serrated. We've got the rounded area for bolts and nuts, and then of course we've got our cutting edge. So Knipex quality should be good. We'll see how we like them, how they compare. I will say, and I mentioned this in a couple other videos, while I grew up with this on channel locks and stuff, and I do really like comfort grips on a lot of brands, I kind of like the textured grip, just a step up from this before comfort grip. I've gotten to where I really like that, and I'm not quite sure why, but it just feels good and it's kind of confidence inspiring. So small note there for you. Now we're about to get into some crazy stuff here. Nothing price wise, nothing super expensive or fancy, but I think by now you will have seen kind of like my Stavilla screwdriver showcase, where we take a look at the handle, we take a look at how they perform, and in my opinion the number 2 is the way to go with that, because it's going to be the most common, at least here in the US. Will some people use slotted more of a particular size? Probably, but number 2, that's going to be the bread and butter, and I feel like it's relatable for everyone, and I've kind of decided to make that our baseline for testing. It's something I enjoy. It's something, if this YouTube wasn't a deal, the internet didn't exist, would I do this in my own free time? Yeah, I'd have a little scratch piece of notebook paper and I'd be like, oh, this one's better. And maybe I'd run into people from time to time that would also be into similar things, and we'd sit there and we'd talk about it. But with that said, I needed to acquire some more Wera screwdrivers. Now, I've mentioned before I'm not a huge fan of their grip because it's a little small for my hand. We've got 2 of them here though, and they're 2 that you probably don't usually see. Most people Wera kind of overlaps their descriptions of their parts, in my opinion. And it kind of makes it complicated. It's sort of sad they do it, but this would be like their plain Jane baseline. If you're like, no, don't you say plain Jane with my Wera. I love Wera. They've got the best laser tips in the world. What did I get? I swear, man, I try to have clean hands when I do this. I just, for some reason, I don't read off a script clearly. We stutter and pause and all sorts of things, but I honestly do try to have a decent presentation for the tool, so my apologies there. But if you're like, how dare you, my laser tips have never done me wrong. Well, this doesn't have a laser tip, buddy. This would be like their plain Jane grassroots, I'm tempted to say just like their bottom level screwdriver. Same typical style of handle. It doesn't have, you know, the unique colorations that sort of space it out, but it is what it is, and that to me is just fine. So this one is going to be part number 031444, if I'm not mistaken. Number 2, 100mm 4-inch craft form comfort Phillips screwdriver. It'll set you back $7.39. I'm not going to invest a ton of time here because, again, we've got dedicated videos coming in the pipeline, believe you me. This right here, if you're like, well, what's that, a nice pick? Nope, this is a number 2 screwdriver. It is a wood handle. This one comes from Wera. Its part number, let me see if I can track it down for you, is going to be 018352. Number 2, 100mm 4-inch wooden handle Phillips screwdriver. More or less 3 seconds. If you guessed more, you were correct. So, many of you were probably, well, you know, that one's fancy, it's comfort, it's padded, it's got to cost, this one's got to be cheaper, it's just a little lame wood handle. Nope. Price on this one, $9.16, $7.39 once more there, so roughly $2 almost. This one can be used as a striking cap. It's also got a hex bolster, and it also shares what's more than likely the exact same tip. No, hello fly, absolutely no laser tip or anything along those lines. Will I tell you how I like the handle? Absolutely, but not here. I'm going to try to breeze through this, and as mentioned, don't you worry, screwdriver crowd, we've got you covered coming up. So, sticking with that theme, let's come in. Love this because they've got the part number for me. This is from Gedore. We've got GR6683460. This will be their 2160 Phillips number 2. It's their 3C. And the cool thing with Gedore is kind of like Stavilla. If you go Wera or Viha, you have a ton of screwdriver handles. And if you come in with a Gedore, you really don't. Now, if this looks familiar to you, it should, because I brought these in a striking cap set very, very early. Something the striking cap does not have is this stamping, which is always nice to see. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but that doesn't seem to be stamped centered, right? Like something just seems, get out of here, man. Something just seems off. That's what I get when it's 102 and I crack the door to get flies in here. But these are made in Slovenia. It's got the matte chrome. You can clearly see a significant change in the tip compared to the Wera. But this is, honest to gosh, the exact same thing as my striking cap, just without the striking cap. I think most of that set also had a hex bolster. Don't hold me to that. But if you're like, okay, well, so the Gedore's got the same handle, striking cap, they have what, you know, an insulated screwdriver, I bet you might have seen. That is correct, but they also have this. This is from Gedore. It is GR642950. This is going to be their 162.2. Now, go ahead and make your guess. I will tell you right now the price on this guy, $13.29. So with our Wera, we paid about $2 more for a wood-handled screwdriver, right? So if we're sitting at $13.29, which I'll admit is a little bit hefty for that screwdriver, although it's super unique, and if you don't have one, I would encourage you to buy one, and whatever size you need, because of the uniqueness of it. It's totally different than the vast majority of drivers out there, particularly in comparison to most of the typical German tools. So it's got that going for it. But what do we have here? Well, their wooden handled driver. You got a few more seconds to make your guess. This sucker, are you ready? 1703. That is about $4 more. We're, you know, taking away basically a quarter, but $4 more than that one. Now, is anyone going to do that? I don't think so. I've been wrong many times in the past. And if you wanted to compare this to Wera's wood handle driver, it's about double the price, which, and I won't want to spend a ton of time, but let's just say these are super similar. Biggest difference being the finish here, the hex bolster, the way it kind of presses in, the branding. But again, can you striking cap it? Yes, all the way through goes the tang. This one's chrome, which is kind of weird, especially given again that they do the matte chrome here. But hey, we will cross that bridge later. But again, it's basically double Wera's wood handle and $4 more than their standard one. I'm also, you could probably get the striking cap for around this price point. If not, you know, around here, probably just a little over 20 as a standalone. I will tell you, the standalones you do wind up paying quite a premium for in some cases. So you're probably thinking, okay, cool, you're going with the number 2 Phillips, you're bringing some stuff in, rounding out, you know, the test candidates. That's respectable. I appreciate what you're doing. What else is out there? What's left? Well, if you go back, we've had our first Hazet tool was a spark plug brush. I know, super exotic. And then we came in, we got the 916 HP, the magnetic cup, which that thing is super cool. We've now got some Hazet screwdrivers. That's right. I've never seen anyone with any Hazet screwdrivers, at least in video form. I'm sure there's a ton of people in Germany with them, other European countries, probably even in America, but if they do have them, they're not making videos on them, and we're going to change that. This right here is a very interesting little driver, and I'm anxious to see how it actually feels out of the bag, because in the bag, this thing is slick, like super slick. But this is from Hazet. This one is going to be part number HZ803PH2. This is what they would call their trinamic. This is a number 2 100mm. And let's go ahead and just crack this guy open and see what we think of him. Alright. So, this one obviously is going to be your choice for... Let's say that my hand didn't have this mysterious like rust and dust all over it, and let's say that it was transmission fluid or oil. This is something that would wipe clean. Out of the plastic, it has a significant amount more grip. I think you can see it fairly well, what looks like glitter. That's a, you know, a little rough surface regularity, or as I like to call it, texture. And the texture will help us not slip. Hazet, not necessarily known for their screwdrivers, but if you look here, you can kind of see the triangular shaped tri-lobe pin design. I kind of like that personally. Some people do not. If we can get that to focus, we've got 803. Man, geez, 803 PH2. And then check out this tip though. It's got a black tip, but it looks to be a little bit more aggressive in comparison to what I usually see. In hand, it feels pretty nice. It's a little bit thin for me. Almost wish it bulged a little bit more, but we will see how it goes. Again, what I'm going to do, ultimate plan, is just like in our Stavilla video. We're going to compare and contrast the handles. We're going to see how they perform. Not sure if I will have that as a standalone video encompassing all aspects, or if we would make 2 videos, one for handle styles, pros and cons, and then another for the performance. If you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. Just know that I may have already started recording this stuff by the time you see this video, but hey, I will take it in stride. Now, what we have here is something I am super excited about. Super excited about, and that's saying something. This one is kind of, you know, whatever. We'll see how it does. This is one that I saw it and was excited, and I felt it and put it in my hand, and I was like, man, this is going to be a good one. If the tip holds up, we gotta factor that in. But in terms of the handle, I think we found something we like. And what this is, it is Hazet part number 802 PH2. This will be their hexanamic. Could be saying that wrong, not 100%. Phillips number 2, 100mm 4-inch, $18.39 is the price. You're going to get to look at that. 802 PH2. And I tell you what, just going through the plastic on this guy, it's almost like when you first hold either the 3K or the soft finish from VHA, at least for me. I know some people, you know, it'll be the Wera, but oh man, is that sucker nice. Like, I've brought in a lot of screwdrivers, as you should know, and when I get excited at this point in time, oh yeah, this is this makes it all worth it, man, when you've jumped through all the hoops and you're just trying to kind of do something comprehensive and detailed, and then you get something that you really like. So we've got kind of a matte chrome finish. Tip looks really nice. It's kind of looks to be just as aggressive as our black handled Trinamic down there, but this has grooves in it. It's also textured and it's contoured really well. We've kind of got like our spin zone, we've got the anti-roll, but just in hand, you always hear me complain, like the Wera, I see what they were doing. It's great for spinning, the bottom end is fine, but it doesn't like fill up my palm very well. This one does. This is very natural for me. Again, everyone's going to be slightly different, you know, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but unique color scheme, very quality feel in hand, and man, this is a strong contender. This is that's very impressive thus far, I have to say. So, are we done? Absolutely not. Who would I be to disappoint you? And I don't mean in general. You knew that we still had some stuff coming, right? But what I did here, I referenced this slightly earlier in our video. I told you, with many of these screwdrivers, like when we start getting, you know, like $7, $9, you can swallow that. 13, it's like, oh geez, you know, that's kind of getting a little crazy. You know, a set would be like 30 or 40, you know, you almost just say, hey, that's the better value. You're going to use the stuff, wear it out, and you've got backups. But something that was so crazy high, like this one, as I mentioned, is actually not bad, especially for Hazet. You would expect them to be sort of more like a snap-on price point, Nipros type of a deal, $20 to $25 for this driver. $18.39, not terrible. Now, what would have cost me $29 is this guy right here. That would have been a $29 screwdriver. What is this, you say? Well, this is Hazet 810U15. This is going to be a 5-piece set of screwdriver, and you're like, dude, why did you do that? What's the point? Well, hear me out on this, and we're going to make a standalone video on this again because I literally can find nothing on Hazet screwdrivers online. This beautiful little piece here was $67.88, and I know it seems like a good chunk of money for 5 screwdrivers. It's actually fairly competitive with equally known and respected brands. It's about what you'd pay for Klein, in all honesty. Wouldn't get you snap-on, but it would get you here. And the reason I do this is striking cap. This is sort of the same reason I have this in a striking cap set from Gedore, which these are actually ridiculously expensive. They're striking caps. I got that very early in our KC Tool days, and it was on, I guess, like a super sale, because that same set's like triple the price I think I paid for it. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hazet's striking cap driver. Obviously, we got the striking cap, got a really nice feeling handle here. Similar to that, but a little subtle different, I would say. Obviously, a different design here. It's got a nice, I wouldn't say knurl, but I mean, it's got a textured deal, which I can't think of ever seeing that. We've got the bolster nut, we've got the black tip, which actually looks to be the same as the Trinamic. And if I were to buy this standalone, which I hit up KC Tool about making this from a 5-piece set non-striking cap standalone, and they misunderstood me and said, you know, well, yeah, we can get that for you, you know, let's add it to the catalog. $29 for this screwdriver. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, that's ridiculous. We should just get the set and save a ton of money. That's what I did. But ultimately, they're adding this standalone very soon. Probably by the time you see this, it should be available if it's in stock. They've had the pictures now. They just had a placeholder. Now they've got the standalone pictures up. But the counterpart to this with a non-striking cap, which will be different than this guy, they're getting added. That one is way, way more reasonable, and I'm going to be bringing that in as soon as I can. I don't want to pull all these suckers out. This is going to get a dedicated video because, again, it's just something that you don't see. And we're covering Hazet. We are covering Wera. Again, you know, I've got some stuff in the pipes you haven't seen yet, but I decided after the Stavilla deal, I was like, you know what, we should do it. We should just make this as comprehensive as I possibly can. It's all subjective. It's all my opinion. It's all my own testing. You know, I'm not going to steer you wrong. I have no agenda in this. It's not like I'm getting paid or anything crazy. If Hazet was sending me screwdriver, I would disclose it, and I wish they were, because that sucker, I'm really liking him, at least here initially. But I just kind of want to do it right. And initially, you know, I was kind of bringing in, I'd get like, well, Phillips this, and let's get a, you know, 150 millimeter, you know, 200 millimeter. Let's kind of option them out. So I've sort of got like a diverse cast, and that's great for the handle styles. Although some manufacturers change handle styles, which complicated that. And then, for example, a Phillips 2 will be this size, a Phillips 3, and their big flats would be, you know, significantly larger. And so that creates an uneven playing field. But then the main thing, the handle is a huge part of it. The comfort, how you feel about the driver, that's a huge part of it. But the other thing that you can't negate, even if we just had the stupidest, ugliest, yellowy, orangest, acetate, smelly handle, if it's got the best tip on it, you need to tell people. It needs to be noted. It needs to be known. These are hideous. They smell like trash can fire. But in terms of, you know, initial performance and longevity over X amount of time, it can't be beat. And the price is super good. All that to me needs to be done from a level playing field. That's why these are all Phillips 2 100 millimeter shafts. It's going to keep things as even as I possibly can. Again, we're going to come in, we're going to go by brand, then we're going to do some other mixers on it, and we will essentially have what, in my opinion, will be the most comprehensive study one could do. And like I said, the sad thing is, if YouTube wasn't a thing, if the internet and forums and bulletin boards and all that stuff didn't exist, I'd still be super interested in this, and I would be doing the same thing, and I would just have to encounter people at hardware stores or car shows or, you know, chance conversations. It's like, well, you really like, you know, Gedore's wood handle, you should try Wera's, it's half the price. You know, things along those lines. That's something I truly enjoy, find interesting, and obviously at least some of you do here too as well. So it's also a deal where, yeah, there's a crud ton of screwdrivers, and I'm set. Like, I don't know if I'd ever have to buy another one right now, at least a number 2 Phillips. But screwdrivers are not lifetime tools. They wear out over time, especially, obviously, with the greater use comes greater wear. But it's one of those deals. It's just curiosity, and it's an enjoyable thing, and I want to know. It's really just what's the best, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. So with that, I will quit rambling. I thank you so much for supporting me, and like I said, if you've got any ideas, feel free to pitch them to me. But I'm kind of try to keep it basic and simple, and we'll see how it goes. Obviously, then if we want to ratchet things up, if some of you come up with great ideas or build some test fixture that you're willing to ship or something, you know, hey, why not? That's kind of my logic on everything. But this was KC Tool Haul 12. We got tool of the day, which these suckers are going to be super handy. Stuck this on just because it was like, wow, you know, I don't know if I'll ever find that for that low of a price again. And then we got some really cool drivers, and of course, Hazet striking cap stuff. So have we turned into a Hazet snob? Not necessarily. I just never had any of their stuff, and brought it in. I've liked what I've seen so far, and it's good to give them a fair shake. You don't want to just always have the mid-tier brands that perform really well and are priced good and then ignore these guys. Maybe this is going to suck. Maybe it's going to be the best screwdriver ever. I don't know, but we're going to find out. So with that said, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. If you enjoyed this video, if you like what we're doing here on the channel, leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Most importantly, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. As always, we appreciate your support, and I will catch you back here for yet another video from the shop.